The boys in the boat were very different, and they had unique qualities that made them unique. In the early 1930s, the U.S. was in the grips of the Great Depression. A huge chunk of America's population was unemployed, industry and agriculture were in ruins. This was during the 1930s. There was an insecure student named Joe Rance that enrolled at the University of Washington. He became a working class man. He's from a small town. And as a result, he felt that he didn't really fit in with the high upperclassmen, the wealthier men around town. Joe was a hard-working man, kept working, but he just didn't feel like he fit in. Joe's mother, Nellie, died when Joe was a child, and his father, Harry, was an unreliable man who abandoned Joe multiple times. Harry married another woman named Thula La Follette. They had several children together. Al Ulbrichtsen believed that rowers should excel in all aspects of life. This was a part of Joe's team. This was his coach. He highly respected him in all cylinders. Joe looked up to Al, as Al looked down to Joe. By the end of his freshman year, however, Joe had made it onto the team, partly because he was used to working hard and enduring pain. Now, enduring pain and working hard is grit. He showed a lot of grit there. He showed a lot of hard work. Joe has also benefited from coaching Tom Bowles, the freshman coach, and the world-class Shells. George Yeoman Pocock, an English boat builder who'd moved to Washington in the 1920s. Between Ulbrichtsen, Pocock, and Bowles, the University of Washington was shining. It was glaring. These people were changing the program on a national level. Kai Ebright, he coached the Charismatic. In April freshman year, Joe and the freshmen raced against the freshman team from Cal and won decisively. Joe and the freshmen also competed at the Hudson Regatta in Poughkeepsie, New York. They won against the East Coast teams. This was all during the Berlin Olympics, hosted by Adolf Hitler.
Later in the book, it is noted, all along, Joe Rance had figured that he was the weak link in the crew, but that he found out much later in life that all the other boys felt the same way. They didn't reveal this to him later on until they were older men, because Joe would have had his heart broken. The life Joe lived was wrong and horrible. No child should ever have to go through that. And they didn't want to break his heart at the time. They were only looking to win the Olympics, so they needed Joe as badly as they needed each other. So they didn't reveal it to him until they were older. To be honest with you, the weakest person in the group would be all of them besides Joe, because they were talking behind Joe's back, and they didn't agree Joe was strong and he was the weakest link in the group. No one is ever the weakest link in any group if you're in a group. The strongest person, I think, in that group is Joe, because Joe lived a horrible life and he was able to strive through greatness and win the Olympics. To be honest with you, I wouldn't be able to do that. I'm very surprised Joe was able to do that, because he's an outstanding person who's able to strive for greatness and disregard everything that's around him and set his mind onto something which is his goal, and he was able to accomplish it. Joe is a true man of his word and a true person. He never lets anything get in his way. That's why he is the strongest person in the group.
I agree with Sufian's point because In order for any group of people to accomplish a common goal, there needs to be leadership involved. The team was lacking one major thing that could have been used to reach their goals: communication. From the book and my personal experiences, communication is key. On the team, there was no communication among the group. This led to people feeling insecure about themselves and ultimately resulting in negative experiences. If the rest of the team had spoken up while they were in the Olympics and let Joe know that they felt that he was the leader, he would have had a confidence boost and the rest of the team would have felt a lot better. Ultimately, the team would have been a lot more successful if it had communication.